Great to be back. Exciting week. You know, this is kind of what you play for the entire year. So we're excited that it's playoff time. It's that intensity. It's the feeling of you need to win to advance. So I'm proud of our guys. It was really nice last week to have a bye week right after our region. To get a little bit healthy, for us to spend some time on focusing on us. You don't typically get that during the year. You get so focused on your opponent and what you need to do to try to beat that opponent that you don't get to work on yourselves a whole lot. So it was a really good week for us to focus back on some things that we hadn't done well throughout the regular season to get us ready for this week. I have a familiar opponent in St. Joe's this week. Played them in the regular season. I played them last year. Coach Nash does a great job with their team. They're very hard to prepare for, the things that they do from a scheme standpoint on the offensive side of the ball. This is kind of the only team that we play throughout the year that we see this type of offense. So it's going to take us being detailed and disciplined. And if we are, I feel really good about our team. We've had a great week of prep and just excited to be back under the lights this Friday in playoff football. It's just kind of nothing like it. So really looking forward to this week.
What are your expectations for your players on these next few games?
Yeah, I just want them to continue to play to what our standard is. Really challenged them this week that, and I believe this, you know, the only team that can beat us that's left on our schedule is us. And I feel like if we do what we're supposed to do and we play to our capabilities and we play to our potential, that we've got a great chance of making a deep run in the playoffs. So my expectation for them is to play well. I think they've had a great week of practice. One of our best weeks that we've had. They responded really well to some challenges on Tuesday, and then yesterday in our last true practice day was one of our better practices of the year. So we got one more cleanup day today in our walkthrough period. But my expectation is for them to play our best football game we've ever played, because it's the next one.
How do you handle the pressure of like playoffs?
I think it's important to put things into perspective when you get to this time of year. There's a lot of pressure, I guess, so to speak, that they expect you to win. You want to, you know, for me, I want them to put things into perspective that, yes, we want to win the game because we want to be able to get to the state championship, you know, down the road, but it gives us another week to spend together. You know, I think it's important for me to keep that in perspective for myself as a coach. You know, if we win, I get another opportunity to build relationships with them. You know, I've been so proud of our guys and who they are and who they're becoming. You know, faith and a spiritual standpoint for our team is very important, and they continue to grow in those regards. Just thankful to be in a place where that's supported. You know, my fellow head coaches that we have and pouring into young men, young women from a spiritual standpoint has been really important for us. So if we win this Friday, we get another opportunity to do that next week. And hopefully everything that they do here at MVP is a step towards making them a better person, you know, a better student in everything that we do.
You want to talk a little bit about your prep this week going into playoffs?
Yeah, we just made sure we did the details right. Like Coach says all the time, like the little details gonna matter when it matters the most. And we figured out that if we win the trenches, that we might win the game most likely, because, you know, like I said, you know, the trenches.
Yeah, details.
Yeah, like if we pay attention to the little details, it'll lead to bigger things and like that.
Savion's done a great job for us when you talk about details. He has to be. He hardly comes off the field now. He's transitioned into that two-way player role for us. He starts at wide receiver and has really become that lockdown corner that we need. He's kind of our mini Travis Hunter, so to speak, returns kickoffs, punts, and all those things. So just really proud of Savion in the year that he's had, and is going to continue to progress. And I expect him to have a big night on Friday on both sides of the ball.
How confident are y'all going into it?
I think it's important to be confident. you know, I said this before, it's on there. We end our last meeting of the week with this. It's always on my play call sheet for the week, is that fear does not exist in those who have prepared. So I think that in order for us to feel good about Friday, it comes down to, do you truly feel like you put everything into the prep work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week to give you the ability to be confident? But I believe in these guys. You know, we've been around each other long enough now where I know who they are. I know who our football team is. They're a really talented team, but you've got to be careful. I mean, I think the elephant in the room, people look at potentially our road. There's maybe some repeat teams, and they go, well, you beat them in the regular season. I showed them a path where I'd been a part of a state championship team in the past where we lost in the regular season to a team, and then we beat them in the playoffs. So these games, it's all 0-0. So we can't rest on, oh, we beat them the first time. It's really difficult to beat an opponent 2 times in a row. So I'm confident that we have the team to go and do it, but we've got to make sure that we go and play our best football if we want to get the result that we want.
I know the last game that we played was a pretty clean game.
Mm-hmm.
But what tweaks did you make from the last game, like going into this one?
Yeah, we really tried to hit on starting fast. You know, you look back to the disappointment of the Woodruff game, and I know that it was a big game for region implications, and it was a great atmosphere, and our kids, I think, really wanted to win that game. But we started slow. We didn't have a great first quarter, and then from that point on, we won the football game, the scoreboard, so to speak. And then last week, or 2 weeks ago at Broome, we didn't start fast again. So we really tried to identify what does it mean to show up, and that starts at practice. You know, the first period of the day, that we've got to bring energy, we've got to bring intensity, and there's no magic switch to being a good athlete, to being detailed and disciplined. So some of them, I think they're trying to finally understand that, you know, if you're not dialed into what you need to do at 12:30 in your math class, if you just wait till 2:30 and you think, okay, here's the magic button, I'm on the grass, I'm going to hit this magic button, all of a sudden I care about details. All of a sudden I want to be on time. All of a sudden I want to be energetic and passionate and know my responsibilities and to succeed. It doesn't happen that way. You know, your brain is a pattern-based machine. So the more bad habits you have throughout the day, that's going to be who you are on the football field too. So trying to address some of those things. You know, we're going to get into the playoffs, and it starts this week. You play a bad quarter of football, you know, you're coming back on the bus and we're collecting shoulder pads and helmets, and our season's over. So we've got to make sure that we play a complete game and try to get off to a faster start.
And this will be our 11th game this year? Is that correct?
This would be our 10th, yes, because we played one short, yep.
How do you both deal with like the fatigue of the whole season where everybody's just like kind of running out of steam and ready for Thanksgiving break and all those things?
So we just got to keep going. We got to fight through. You know, Miss Collins, she do a great job with rehab and everything. We just got to fight through and push through to get that goal of a state championship that we really want.
I think for them, you know, the easy thing to identify for our players is the physical aspect of how you're trying to get them through the season. Football is such a physical sport that it doesn't matter what team you go to. Probably people are dealing with a lot of injuries, and we don't have a ton of injuries, so to speak, but we're not healthy. Nobody is at this time. You know, there's things that are lingering. How do we take care of their bodies? How do we put them in the best chance to go and play? So I think that becomes a focus for them too. My biggest concern is, because I feel it as a coach and I know as a staff, is the mental side of things. You know, you look at our season and the prep work that it takes. You know, we've been going since May. You know, we start spring practice and then we're here Monday through Thursday in the summer. 7-on-7s, almost a full day it feels like, and then you get into August was our fall camp at August 1st, and we haven't stopped. It's been full weeks. You know, we try to take a few days off when we get a bye week, but there's that mental drain, and it's important for us as a staff to try to identify those things. So we try to keep them fresh with those ideas, and then we also try to, you know, disassociate a little bit. I think it's important to not just be football, you know, to go out. You know, I've spent some time the last few weeks taking some kids out to lunch, and you know, they want to talk about football, and the game plan is like, we don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about your life. Let's talk about your family, future plans. You know, how are you feeling? How are you doing? You know, let's get outside of football a little bit. And I think when you can put into perspective that, yes, football, we want to go win this game on Friday night, but there's a lot of things that are going on in their life that are a lot more important and that I'm more invested in to their long-term success. So try to spend more time talking about those things. I think it keeps them rejuvenated. You know, you get into a program and it's just football, 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 football. It's just like a job. You'll get burnt out. So trying to have that balance of what we're doing.
Savion, how do you deal with the mental fatigue?
You know, I'm really close with Jesus, so I just pray a lot and hope He make things better for me. And I know He got me at the end of the day, so I just fight through and push through what I can. Because, like he said, it's not all about football. Sometimes you got to put yourself first, and yeah, stuff like that.
What do you do to relax?
Sleep.
That's a good answer.
That's fair. All right.
What are some things you guys do like, specific to walk in and stay motivated?
You know, for me, I think my ultimate responsibility to them is to provide them throughout the week with a structure that they feel like gets them prepared to go and play successfully on a Friday night. The preparation is part of an organization that you've got to make sure that you have things streamlined for them. I think it's important when we go to Monday practice, they know what a Monday practice looks like. They know what Tuesday looks like. They know what Wednesday looks like. They know what Thursday looks like. And so my job for them is to always keep them within those parameters of what we need to do. You know, they're kids. It's easy to venture off. I don't feel far removed from those times as a player. It feels like maybe further along every day. But it's easy to get distracted. So just trying to give them what they need to stay focused with so many distractions in the world. I mean, you guys live on your phones now and social media. There's a lot of distractions that these guys have when they know that on a Friday night, the pressure of you got to go win, especially when you're in a program like ours. The expectation is to go and win. To just try to help them as much as I can to stay focused and to eliminate some of those distractions that they may feel.
So what has been the one focus since, I mean, if you lose this game, you're out. It's one game, you're done.
Yeah, the focus is hopefully we get another week. You know, it's always tough at this point in time, and because of the coach and me, just you don't want to think about it, but it's a reality. And I think it's important to be honest with your players. You know, it kind of hits you really quick. You know, we talked to our seniors yesterday. Was their last practice, unless they go and earn another one this Friday. So we try to talk about those things. And for me, you know, I don't want to lie to you. You always know that there's two results that you can have. You can win a game and you can lose a game. You know, and for me, it's kind of bittersweet and sad because, you know, it's not the football side of things. I mean, I'm going to hopefully blessed long enough to coach football for a long time, but you know, season goes by quick. We talked about how long it has been, but it feels like you snapped your fingers and we were just at a 7-on-7. You know, so if we don't win this Friday, you know, those seniors, I don't get another day with them out on the football field. It's not like I'm not going to see them in school and in other sports and support them, but I get a really concentrated time to be invested into their lives when they're on my football team. And then you just want to make sure that you did enough for them, that you poured into them as much as you can, and that's spiritually, socially, you know, and you know, academically, any part of their growth that they need. Hopefully we're doing that. And the longer that we get to play, the more opportunities I've got to do that over the next month or so.
What part of your game do you need to execute perfectly in the playoffs to succeed?
I'll let you talk about maybe some of the defense side or the offensive and whatever you want to. But for us, I think that's a tough word in football, execute perfectly. I think we chase that as a football team. But being perfect is we won't do it. It's impossible. It's too tough of a game. There are keys to the game that we want to execute without giving away too much of our secrets for the week. But in general, and this is true, you know, the game of football involves three phases. There's an offensive side of the ball, there's a defensive side of the ball, and the special teams. For us, you know, the things that we need to execute and chase perfectly are all three phases of those games. You know, it's easy at practice. You know, we wear different colored jerseys so we can see. It's easy for guys, but I'm an offensive player. I'm a defensive player. You know, when we go play this Friday, we're MVP. We're going to be wearing the same colors. And if our offense does not play well and defense plays great, special teams is great, we probably don't win the game. And vice versa of any other of those combinations. In order for us to be able to come back here hopefully next Thursday and have another press conference and talk about our opponent, we've got to be good in all three phases. That's offensively, defensively, special teams. And from here on out, if we slack in one of those areas, it's probably not going to be a great ending of the night for us. Any keys you have, defensively, obviously playing, a tough style, and then, offense without you telling us how we're going to score.
Yeah, defensively, we just got to read our keys and, because if we pass one of them by, it could end up in a touchdown, and that can end our season. So we just got to be locked in and read our keys. And offense, it's going to be one in the trenches most likely. They put a lot of pressure on the O-line, but I know we can do it. Shout out to those guys because, they get a lot of backlash and stuff, but, I feel like they could be best in the state, and they will be best in the state.
Knowing Woodruff was your only loss, if you come against them during playoffs, how do you plan to take them on? Yeah,
I think as a coach, it happens no matter, when you lose to any team at any time, it's always easier to go back and fix your mistakes when your team has lost. So I think it was beneficial for us probably in the long run. I was always the bad guy after some games. We'd win 50-7 and we'd be in the huddle and I'd say, guys, these are things we need to work on. If not, it's going to come back and it's going to cost you. It's not going to be good for you. And they're like, this guy's crazy. We just won a game 50-7. He doesn't know what he's talking about. We don't have to worry about those things. And until it happened. And then I got to be, which it wasn't a great feeling, but I got to be the guy that said, I told you so. So it's always easier to get the attention of your players when you lose a game because they feel the impacts of not doing what they were supposed to do. So for us, I think as a coach, anytime you lose to a team, you hope that you get another chance at them. And it doesn't happen all the time, but they're a great team. They're very well coached. I know a lot of their coaches that are over there. They have a phenomenal football team, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they make a run. And hopefully that would mean, if looking at the brackets, if we were to run back into them, that would be the Upper State Championship game. That means we've done a really good job in the playoffs ourselves. So that would make me happy because that means we've done a lot. And hopefully some of the things that we didn't do well the first time, we fix those, and then it'll be a new week. They're going to look at, they won't be the same team either. They'll look at things that they didn't do well against us just because they got a positive result. They probably feel like they could have done a better job too. So it'll be a great challenge for us, and hopefully, the Lord willing, that we've done enough to get back to that point.
Savion, this is our first time kind of getting to talk to you. Are there any special things that you do before the game, or how do you prep? What music do you listen to? That kind of stuff.
I always wake up exactly at 8:30 before the game to get myself prepared, and when I'm on the bus, I sleep the whole time. And music I listen to, really anything except for country. No offense, but I listen to R&B most of the time on the bus. I don't listen to rap, I guess you could say. But before the game, I just breathe, and because as he says, fear doesn't exist in those who are prepared, and I feel like we've prepared the best, and I don't go out there afraid because I know God always got me, and we will succeed with them.
Good. All right. Anything else, guys? Anything y'all want to add?
Just thankful for our support. It's been great the past few weeks, as we've gotten into playoffs for other sports, and in the end of the year for us to see the school spirit and the communities that we have here to be there. We're excited for this Friday. We'll be at St. Joe's, so it's right down the road. Looking forward to seeing a lot of our supporters there. Hopefully we've got a good student section. And they come prepared to have a great time, but we'll need your support. Even though we're the home team, we're still at somebody else's venue, so we need to try to get as many people as we can. You don't realize how big of a deal that is for us. Seeing our students there, seeing our parents there, all of our supporters, it plays a huge role for those guys. So hopefully we see you at 7:30 tomorrow night at St. Joe's, and that we put on a performance that you're proud of, and that we get another week together.